Hark! It's an 87th Precinct Podcast bonus episode. This is the bonus episode to accompany our look at the 51st 87th Precinct book, which is Money, 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 a dense tome about global terrorism, money laundering, drugs, just lots of stuff.
Lion attacks,
yeah, that sort of thing, you know, all those things that go together.
Yep.
You know. But Morgan has just revealed what she didn't reveal in the main episode, the circumstances in which he first read the book. So I think everyone should know this situation because they'll empathise.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first time I read Money, 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 I read pretty much the entire novel in one sitting whilst on an interminable rail replacement bus service from Preston to Carlisle.
Yes, which, as I told Morgan, I have done that journey on a rail replacement bus from Preston to Carlisle, and it is a horrible, horrible experience.
Slightly less horrible when you've got a big, chunky Ed McBain novel to keep you company, thankfully. But
yes.
Excruciating otherwise.
Thank you. Thank you for telling us that. That will add to our listeners' understanding of your experience with this book and the things in your mind when you revisit it. Okay, so what we normally do is we have a look at the original editions and we'll have a look at our editions. We've already hinted at them all being slightly different in the main episode, but I will show off first and get Steve-O to describe the US Hardback Edition.
Okay, US Hardback, here we go. All right, so we've got a picture of, a photo, like a coloured-in photo of loads of $100 bills all piled up, so kind of a cliff face of them.
A lasagna of money.
As you were, rather than spread out on a table, it's like in section. And it says money, 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 money on it. So it says it 5 times, which is a bit curious, isn't it?
Yes.
Ed McBain in different font at the bottom. There we go. So it's green and grey. Quite interesting colours.
Yeah, it's quite a simple one, really. There.
Yeah.
I mean, the obvious thing to do with this book, it's called Money, 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 is take a photo of some money.
Stick some money on it, yeah.
Well, perhaps Morgan can describe the US paperback edition, which is the pocketbooks edition.
Yep, it's taken the money theme in a slightly different direction. It's got sort of some folded money with a big sort of dollar sign kind of stamped on it. Been in some big shiny red letters, and Edgar Award nominee. Money, money, money. Yeah, it's got some money on it.
Yeah, there we go. It's got some money on it. Yeah, folded over money in this case.
I'm hoping the Italian one is in from the lion cage.
Oh
right,
come on, fingers crossed.
Well, the UK hardback edition is very much like all the books we've got in front of us here. As I mentioned, Orion become the publisher of the books from this one onwards in the UK. And I'll describe the UK hardback edition, which is literally it's $100 bill laid out as the front page of the book. And it's got like the sort of paper wraps that you have around stacks of bills across the centre of it. And in this, it says money, money, money at the top of the page, in this font that Orion used for everything, which is sort of like slightly weird stamped typed font thing. Ed McBain at the bottom. And in the original hardback edition, the wrap that went around the book, and I don't know if it was a physical thing or if it was actually just printed on it. It must be a physical thing because it says, the genuine article, a steal at only $12.99. So you wouldn't want that permanently on the front of your book.
No, that's true.
So yes, that's quite cool. You've ripped that off.
Yeah, so you'd have to open the book as if it was a stack of notes.
Yeah, I quite like the overall design where the band on the paperback editions as well does where they do have it so it looks like the book from the spine is a stack of notes. I think
it must be because there's 2 thingies there.
Yeah,
Paul.
That's quite a good bit of sort of thought out design, isn't it?
Yeah, it does go through into the book itself as well. So
yeah,
the chapters
the edges
have
of the pages,
the $100 sort of security band mimicked along the edge of them.
It's like the beginning bit of every chapter, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think it's quite a nice design, really. And the paperback version in the UK is as I have it here, although I don't have the first edition paperback version, the first edition one had the phrase $1.7 million of trouble in a very crowded 87th precinct on the front.
Ooh.
Whereas mine just says a novel of the 87th precinct on the front.
Oh, mine says it on that statement on the back.
Yeah. So, Steve-O, you explain what your copy is.
Mine's the one you've described just then.
Except, well, yours is a paperback, but it's...
the $100 bill. It looks better if you have it a little bit further away, doesn't it?
Well, yours does, because yours is massive. That's the difference.
Oh, yeah,
So
mine's big. Mine's like for people who can't read very well at the library, although it doesn't have that big writing in.
It's just a big old paperback, isn't it?
Yeah, large
So it's like
large format paperback, whereas I've got a normal size
It's like
paperback.
as large... Yeah, it's like the size of a large ashtray rather than the size of a medium-sized ashtray, if you can imagine such a thing.
Well, there you go. And, well, Morgan's going to describe his copy, or rather reintroduce us to an old friend.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've brought this one out, but this is it's cropped up a couple of times before. An omnibus, a 3-in-1 omnibus with money combined for some reason with The Pusher and King's Ransom.
Yeah, I don't get it.
No, nor do I. Obviously, as I didn't read these in order, I just ploughed through from cover to cover.
Yeah.
And, just had to deal with the fact that many, many years had passed in between.
Yeah.
Somebody must just have picked them and thought, oh, they're 3 quite good ones. Shove those
Well,
out.
yeah.
Well, I mean, King's Ransom's obviously a brilliant. The Pusher's pretty good.
Yeah. So the cover's just got sort of elements of the designs of all 3 books kind of clumsily superimposed on one another.
Yeah.
Well, let's have a look at that. Could you imagine a plot involving... Well, there you go.
I dare say so, yeah. I mean,
money, telephone...
They all tend to involve money and telephones, at least, don't they? Somewhere.
Money, telephone, and some more money.
Money, telephone, and more money. Okay, yeah. So that's the third and final time that that book will be making an appearance, and it hasn't been out since something like 1961 or something like that, in the chronology, anyway.
We need to...
Well, no, hold off on your... let's do the sniffing now. Go on, get out of the way.
Ooh, it's quite... I've not had a very pungent one for a while, have I? That's quite nice, though.
Oh, blimey, he's gone in loads of time.
Yeah.
Your whole head fits inside that size
well, yeah,
of
it is
book.
quite big. It is quite big.
Describe your scent.
Pungent.
Hope it doesn't smell like a medium-sized ashtray.
No.
Or large ashtray.
Fairly sweet.
Sweet, okay. I'll check mine.
But not too sweet.
Yeah, mine's okay. I mean, these are fairly modern editions, aren't they? So there's not mine's in pretty good nick. Barely cracked the spine until I read it.
Morgan's looks a bit
so
more
it's all right.
battle hardened.
I was going to say, mine, I think, being the omnibus edition, it's probably on pretty cheap paper stock, which hasn't aged terribly well. So, on the other hand, I have recently had a cold, so I may not be able to smell anything at all. But we'll see how we go.
That can be part of your review, I suppose. It's,
there is a scent coming through. Only just a hint of mustiness, but you can tell this one's going to ripen over coming years.
Oh, I wonder if it's changed. I'm not going to do it, but I should really go back and listen to the episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Mind you, did we even do it that early on? I can't even remember.
Haven't we always done it?
I think it came in quite early. I think
Yeah, whether it's changed in the... Well, it would be like 3 or 4 years since we did King's Ransom.
But, your huffing tastes change.
Well, that's true.
You've got a more refined huff palate.
Or maybe your huff palate's just gone because of all this huffing.
It probably will have changed slightly because it's sat on my shelf a bit and then also rattled around in my bag on the way to and from work for a few days while I was reading it too. So.
Anyway, I have got the Japanese paperback edition, which, as you will have established from the ones I've mentioned before, is a painting with the numerals 87 scraped in it. Go on, Steve-O, you have a stab at that one.
Oh, right, okay. So it's a grey background, a sandy-coloured grey, and then an orange splodge about the shape of Africa, and then black, orange, red, and reddy, blacky, orange squiggles on the bottom, like arrows, and then brown, red, black, reddy, brown, orange, blacky, grey, orange squiggles on the top.
And I hope you've all formed an exact mental picture of this by now.
And 2 white blobs, and like a scribed in
8-7.
8-7. Yeah. So what is that representing?
Not a clue.
So what have we got? Last time we decided it was the pizza scene, didn't we?
Well, you did. Yes.
But it's going to mean something. Leave that with me for a minute. Maybe. See, it's nothing to do with money, I wouldn't have thought. Desert. It's a bit deserty coloured, isn't
It
it?
does have a bit of a deserty look about it.
And
I will
somebody
say.
who was commissioned to write it, draw it, might have literally read the first few pages and thought, mountains, desert, sun.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh. Yeah, it's interesting.
Anyway.
It looks cool.
As ever, it's pretty cool.
As ever. And, what it is, we're not sure.
Yeah, figurative.
But I'm saying desert. I think that's inspired by the plain scene.
And the last of the overseas editions that we're going to look at is the Italian one. Now, you've got your banking on it being the Lion's Den.
Confidently, Lions.
I'm counting on Fat Ollie playing the piano. Come on.
Well, oh dear.
Oh.
What's that?
It's just a
just
New York street at
boring
sunset.
boring old cars.
Yeah.
It's not called Cars, is it?
They've curiously only called it money as well.
Yes. I don't know why, because it's not even in Italian. It's just called money.
How odd.
This is the Il Giallo Mondadori edition. It is
Well,
a
there
bit
you go.
disappointing. It is a bit disappointing.
So
they
the
could have done anything.
a title's the third of what it should be, and the quality of the cover is a third of what it should be as well.
Yeah, that's it. Really.
Not normally a go-to for a good cover, but
Yeah. Well,
clearly not.
I think the UK design wins really.
I think it does.
It's nicely put together. That.
Yeah, it feels a bit more like they've
Thought.
they've thought about it from a promotional standpoint as well, as much as anything else.
Well, the colour as well is very, very good match.
Right, so let's get into some stuff from 2001. And, well, I will get into our picks as we go along. And I'll start, as usual, with the charts for the week that this was released originally, which was the week of the 6th of September 2001.
6th of September 2001.
Oh, heck.
Right, okay. UK singles chart is this?
We can start with the UK singles
right,
chart.
okay.
I'm not going to ask you to guess.
No,
I'll just,
don't.
I
Please
think we'd
don't.
be
Could be
here
there a long time.
But it's a new number one. I'm going to go
Ooh.
from 1 till 10 in this one
Ooh.
for the UK.
New
And at
number
number one, it's a song called Too Close by Blue.
Oh, I remember the one.
How does that go?
It's basically, I can't really remember. I'm not going to attempt to sing it because I've lost my voice a bit. As far as I can recall, the lyrics are very slightly veiled about getting an embarrassing erection while dancing close with a woman.
Oh, yes. Yes.
You're making it hard for me.
God.
Oh, dear, oh, dear. The subtlety.
Yeah.
Well, that's at number one anyway, so clearly...
Well, rightly so.
Clearly that touched a nerve. At number two is Let's Dance by Five, which isn't a cover of Let's Dance.
I don't think so, no. I'm sure it was about getting up and getting down. That's what most of their songs are about.
Yeah.
Up and down.
Yeah, up and down all the time.
They didn't really do a lot of sideways songs.
No, they
did
weren't interested in sideways
in
motion at all.
like back and forth.
Just
up and
down.
up and
Just
down.
wish to repeatedly demonstrate their mastery over gravity's pull.
They were vertical singers, not horizontal.
That's it.
Yeah, that's where their skill set is. At number three, Follow Me by Uncle Cracker
Oh,
Uncle
yeah.
Cracker.
with a K.
You see, you could just make these up.
Follow me, do, 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 do. I'll be the one who tucks you in at night. Yeah, try to leave, I can guarantee you won't find
He does
out.
remember it, doesn't he?
Yeah,
He's not
it's
going to
like-
sing because his voice is bad.
Shit, I've started already, haven't I?
Show him Uncle Cracker and you can't stop
Bit
him.
like,
Yeah,
one of those things like I think I ranked them with like Hootie and the Blowfish and Matchbox 20,
Right, okay, yeah.
Counting Crows maybe. I don't know.
No, I don't
Well,
remember
at number
Uncle
four,
Cracker.
it is a cover because it's Stuck in the Middle as done by Louise.
Oh well,
And
Nerding.
that was a cover, wasn't
yes,
it? Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
At number five, it's Emma Bunton with Take My Breath Away,
Bunton.
former Spice Girl.
Oh, yeah.
Once and former and future Spice Girl. At number six is 21 Seconds by So Solid Crew.
Oh, now you're talking.
Yeah, that's good, that one.
Stormer.
Yeah. At number seven, Eve featuring Gwen Stefani and
Let Me Blow Your Mind.
Blow Your Mind.
Marvellous.
Number 8, Take Me Home by Sophie Ellis-Bextor,
Oh, yeah, I remember the one.
who's had a bit of media coverage as a bit of a lockdown superstar because she did a load of stuff from a kitchen. And things like that.
The
Kitchen
disco, yeah.
with a very angular face. Turn Off the Light at number 9 by Nelly Furtado.
Oh, yeah.
And at number 10, Jamiroquai with Little L.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, there you go. Pop stuff, a little bit of British...
Bit of singing.
Yeah, there's some sort of... the tail end of the boy band boom.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go from 10 till 1 in the US charts
Okay.
and see if it's any different from the UK charts.
Completely.
Yeah, almost complete. Almost complete.
Almost. Right, what's... Uncle Crackers is going to be there.
Well, we'll see. At number 10 is Hanging by a Moment, Lifehouse.
It sounds confusing, doesn't
I
it?
know,
That
it
sounds
does.
like a confusing song.
It does.
By
Confusing.
a band or
Are you a lifeboat
light
or a lighthouse?
Yeah.
Neither. I'm a lifehouse.
Lifehouse.
I think that was going to be the name of the Who's Next concept album after Tommy, wasn't it? And then Pete Townsend ended up scrapping it.
Decided it was too confusing even
Too
for him.
confusing, exactly, yeah.
Number 9, Drops of Jupiter, brackets Tell Me,
Oh,
by
yeah.
Train.
Bloody Train.
Train, right? Okay.
And we
yeah.
just got that a bit later over here, didn't we?
Yeah. Number 8, It's Been a While, by Stained.
Oh, terrible
Stained.
pretend grunge.
Yeah. You can tell they're something special because they're spelled Stained without the E.
Pretend.
Oh, it was the day for that, wasn't it? The Stained and Puddle of Mudded.
Oh, yes. Number 7, You, the letter U, You Remind Me, by Usher. Number 6, Where the Party At, no question mark, by Jagged Edge with Nelly.
Maybe Jagged Edge was telling us where the party at,
Yeah.
not inquiring as to where the party might be at.
No,
Yeah.
there's a chance for Uncle
know.
Crackers here. He's not made an appearance
Well, at
yet,
number
has he?
5 is the only one that's common to the UK chart.
Which is Uncle Crackers.
It's Eve featuring Gwen Stefani with Let Me Blow Your Mind.
All right, okay.
Number 4 by Blue Cantrell, Hit 'em Up Style.
Oh.
Oops.
Oh, it's a good one.
I like something that's got lots of extra punctuation in it, so brackets and exclamation marks in it,
Yeah,
and a little apostrophe.
that's a good one, that.
Number 3, Someone to Call My Lover, Janet. That sounds like someone to call my lover.
Moi lover.
By the Wurzels.
2 is Fallin' by Alicia Keys.
Oh, yeah.
And at number 1, I'm Real by Jennifer Lopez featuring Ja Rule. Ja Rule?
Ja Rule,
Ja Rule.
indeed.
Ja Rule.
Oh, yeah. Jeff Atkins, as I prefer to call him.
Well,
I think that's what the
Jeff
jar stands
Atkins.
for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
Well, there you go, see. So only one track common there.
Yeah.
Still, yeah. Okay, so that's some music, and we will get into our own picks and discuss some stuff about albums when we get to that.
Yes.
But we'll go to the cinema, as we like to do after we've done our music thing, and look at the top 10 highest grossing films of 2001, which is the one where sometimes I ask you guys to guess, you sometimes get some of these.
yeah. I reckon I can get one.
Go on.
Definitely. Without a shadow facts of a
Oh, very good.
with a doubt.
Go on, then say it.
It was the first Lord of the Rings films, wasn't it? The Fellowship of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, The Fellowship
But
of
it's
the Ring.
not called. It's still the Fellowship. No, I was being silly.
Lord of the
It
Rings.
was on telly, but yesterday.
It's always on telly.
Yeah, well, it was back on.
Yeah, that was the second highest grossing film of the year.
Second?
Yeah.
Ooh,
So
right.
what beat that?
What beat that?
Also featured wizards.
Oh, Harry Potter.
Harry
Yeah.
Potter.
Is it the first
and,
one of them?
Yeah, Philosopher's Stone.
Oh, right.
I've never seen it.
No, not interested.
No, I wouldn't have
right.
got it if... Well, I didn't get it, but I wouldn't have had a chance of getting it if you'd not said wizards.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. Any others you think are in the top 10 then? I forgot the top 2 there.
Have a bit of a look at
No,
what
they
films
didn't.
came out.
See,
But I noticed lots of like daft films that I liked, but didn't notice any of the sort of ones that were going to be big films that...
Now, I did mention Crocodile Dundee in America or whatever it was called.
I
But
don't
I
think
don't
so.
think that made much of an impact.
Yeah, it wasn't one of the top 10 grossing films. It didn't make over $350 million at the box office.
I think the reason was that big long train broke down, and therefore, like all the promotional material never got out of New South Wales or wherever it was stuck.
I'm trying to think.
Well, this is very boring as silence. You're going to have to give us a clue about...
a Disney animation, CGI animation from the period.
Are we Toy Storying yet?
Not Toy Story.
No.
I don't know.
Are we
I'm
into
not
the
very good at
Pixar
guessing
era yet,
those.
though, or is that? It's not one of those.
It's
no?
Monsters, Inc.
Ah, right.
It's Monsters, Inc. And then there's another animation after that featuring a green cartoon monster. Is one of the big films. Shrek.
Ah,
So they
I was
put...
about to say, what's the guy who ripped all his clothes off?
That's,
Incredible Hulk.
yeah.
Green monster.
Well, he's a green monster.
Well, he is.
yeah, it's true.
So Monsters, Inc., Shrek, then Ocean's 11,
Oh yeah.
Pearl Harbor,
Oh, yeah.
um,
it's not surprising.
The Mummy Returns.
Well, yeah, those were really, really popular. Those films, weren't they?
Yeah. I think since they've tried to remake The Mummy, they've been reappraised as well as being
Yeah.
better than people thought they were when you see what you could be ended up with.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park 3,
Oh right.
number
yeah.
3, yeah. Planet of the Apes, the Tim Burton version.
Oh no!
No. I mean, they have since proved that you can make a version of Planet of the Apes very well.
Oh yeah,
That one, no.
subsequent ones have been cracking actually, haven't they? But that was a stinker.
Yeah. And at number 10, Hannibal.
Oh yeah.
So there we go. Yeah, and you're both right. I mean, there are some interesting films came out that year. I mean, it's the year of Memento.
Was it?
Yeah. Mulholland Drive.
Oh, yeah, was it? I didn't do a very good job of researching films. I didn't see any of these, but yeah.
The Tailor of Panama, which is an adaptation of a Le Carré novel.
Yeah, that's very good,
A
actually.
few other interesting ones. Yes, Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles.
Oh, Los Angeles he was, yeah.
Specific, yes.
Yeah.
Specifically Los
I
Angeles.
don't think I've ever seen that, which is quite strange.
Donnie Darko, which was obviously a huge smash for that sort of, like, if you like those sort of things, which I did at the time, but I've not really felt like I've wanted to watch it since.
Yeah, I haven't seen it for a long time. I did enjoy it. I also used to really, really like the website, which was up for years afterwards.
Yes, that was one of the ones that first had some very interesting viral marketing.
Yeah,
through
like
the-
really fascinating website that made you feel like you were getting involved in some kind of really scary, esoteric kind of stuff.
Yeah. There was a Godzilla film.
Oh, I think I saw that. Yeah, Godzilla versus Gigan and someone or other. I don't know.
It's called...
Guessing.
Official title is Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah.
Oh,
Giant Monsters All-Out Attack.
catchy.
Yeah.
I
In
like
which
it.
I believe Godzilla is possessed by the souls of the dead of World War II.
Well,
It happens occasionally, doesn't
Just
it?
for a laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
Wouldn't he be?
Yeah. So there was a few other
Corking.
good and bad films out there. Rat Race, that I saw that in the cinema in Cheltenham.
Oh, yeah.
Which is rubbish. But again, we'll come to our film pick in a little bit.
Race.
Let's have a little look at the television of the period. The year 2001.
2001.
So in the UK, we have The Office starts.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, obviously, that eventually there becomes an American version of it, which I think is by and large better.
Well, I was watching it only a few hours ago.
All right.
Yeah, vastly superior by a
Yeah,
few decimal
Yeah,
places.
I much prefer it.
yeah, it certainly is. Especially, yeah, they remade essentially season 1 of the British show and then went off on their own, doing what many American sitcoms do, which is be much better because of their system of the way they produce these things. What else do we have? The Blue Planet, that was a huge documentary series. Phoenix Nights was a comedy series set in a sort of working men's club in the north of England by Peter Kay, the comedian who remembers things. It was very good, Phoenix Nights.
Yes.
Yeah, that is by
his-
far his best.
Yeah, by miles.
It is really, really good, that.
That's very good character-based sitcom, that one. There was also the Armando Iannucci shows. So anyone who knows Armando Iannucci from his various work on lots of comedy shows, he did a series for Channel 4 which contains it's very thoughtful, very philosophical, very, very funny, and does contain the line, "Butter brings me out in ghosts," which is the funniest line I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, there was a police series called Mersey Beat.
Oh, there was, yeah.
Which...
So it had the bloke from Brookside in it and Samantha Janus. I only know this because I think they reshowed it on television maybe within the last 5 years.
I'd quite forgotten that.
It was quite interesting. The first scene, or one of the first scenes, was outside the old Punch and Judy pub right by Lime Street, now demolished.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was particularly great, really.
Well, yeah, it wasn't mainly set in Liverpool, actually, because most of it was filmed in Widnes and Runcorn.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I think they had a lot of, it pretended to be set in Liverpool,
Yeah,
didn't it? But
apparently,
cheaper to close the streets of Widnes and Runcorn, I suppose.
Probably
for
don't have to
filming.
bother.
Yeah.
and apparently the police station they used, the set for the police station was based in an old Golden Wonder crisps factory.
Well,
Yeah, but apparently it's very rarely been repeated, so it's
Yeah.
not really been seen since, perhaps once or twice it might have popped up.
yeah, it was definitely on something because I have seen that within the last few years, definitely.
Yeah. I'd sort of watch these things to do Liverpool spotting. So shows that are based in Liverpool, you sort of like to watch them and go, oh, yes, that.
Okay.
But I think it was mainly around Runcorn, so there you go. So what's coming out of America at the... oh, no, hang on. Sorry, before I rush forward. Of course, 2001 in UK television brought us Touch the Truck.
Oh, right,
bloody
yeah.
hell.
Touch the truck.
If you can't guess what this game show was from the title, it was basically a situation where a bunch of contestants had to keep their hands on a truck for the longest amount of time in order to win it.
Was that a Channel 5 thing?
Oh, I should imagine so.
That
although
sounds
I haven't
it.
I haven't written it
Or
down.
Channel 4 pretending being a bit wacky.
Yeah.
Did people go like mad?
Well, they were given sort of like comfort breaks and allowed a certain amount of rest periods equally.
You'd never do all like that these days,
No.
would you? Just that people
But it's mad.
to
So
never get out the...
the winner was a chap called Terry Middleton, which is a great name for the sort of person who would win a programme called Touch the Truck. Who was, at the time, was 39 years old from Winchester in Hampshire. He was a winner who managed to stay awake, touching the vehicle for 81 hours, 43 minutes and 31 seconds.
He had an unfair advantage because he had massive hands.
Yeah. He was all hand. He stated that he was going to sell the vehicle to fund a political party.
Oh,
That's
God.
not in the spirit of the game.
And now he is our Prime Minister. and how-
Do you know what? He'd probably be better.
Yeah.
So he stood in the 2001 general election in the Kingston and Surbiton constituency, but gained only 54 votes.
Less than the hours he
Yeah,
stayed
I know
awake.
what you mean. So that's possibly one of the nadir of television game shows, rather. Certainly not a quiz. In America, we have 6 Feet Under,
Oh, yeah.
which was one of the first big HBO things I think we got over in the UK, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
It's rather good.
Star Trek Enterprise, which was the one helmed by Scott Bakula,
Oh, right,
which
yeah.
I've still never watched an episode of, I don't think,
No, I've
which I
never
must
seen
get
it.
round to, but I seem to remember it being a bit boring. And I love Star Trek, so...
Ziggy with him.
Well, no, and
Dean Stockwell passed
R.I.P.
away.
Dean Stockwell.
Yeah,
of course.
indeed.
Very sad news. Yeah.
I loved Quantum Leap, and it's amazing when you then look and see Dean Stockwell's career lasted as long as it did, from child actor right through. Amazing. Band of Brothers, that comes out of... That's a sort of co-production, I think, across the UK and the US, isn't it?
Yeah.
Law and Order Criminal Intent.
Law and Order, yeah.
So that's a big mainstay of... Oh, I like that.
That's what it does, doesn't it, on the credits?
Well, it's very dramatic.
Yeah, I think.
Never seen an episode of any kind of
Ooh, you
Law
see-
and Order thing.
Yeah.
Well, they're so ubiquitous, it's quite easy to miss them.
Yeah, it
because
is.
you just... There's whole channels where they're always on, so you just skip past them.
Yeah, I'm occasionally intrigued by the prospect of Law and Order Special Victims Unit just because of Ice-T.
Well,
That's the only reason.
that's the only one I've got a great deal of experience of watching, and that's definitely got a... but they definitely owe something to Mr. McBain, I would think.
I'd have thought so. I mean, even if
Definitely.
it's just the fact that he influenced Hill Street Blues.
They play up the proceduralness quite a lot, as much as they can.
Yeah. Yeah, so... And Smallville.
Oh, yeah.
Which I went back and watched a few years after it was originally on, and actually quite enjoyed, really, the tale of a young Clark Kent.
Yeah, so a few bits of it, and quite thought it was all right, and never really pursued it. But
Much better than subsequent DC Comics TV series that I've tried to watch and really just gone, what are you doing? Yeah, just something else to mention. Over in Canada was Howitts Made, which is always on sort of those documentary channels now, which if you put an episode of Howitts Made on and you let it get its hooks into you, it'll be like, can you imagine how umbrellas work?
Oh,
and you'd be
right.
like, I don't care how umbrellas work. But then within 3 minutes, you're watching the machine that makes the central bit of an umbrella like it's the most important thing on earth. Tractor tyres. How do you think tractors get out of the mud?
I thought it was a story of somebody called Mr. Howitts, who was a member of the mafia, and his journey to being
You should write that.
made.
Yeah.
A maid.
And
That wasn't even
for our Australian friends, we're not just taking the mickey out of Crocodile Dundee. Tell me, my Aussie friends, if you've heard of Love is a 4-letter word, which I am reliably informed by the internet is a drama about some 20-somethings working in a pub, and every episode featured a performance by an Aussie band of the period. So I've got a list of featured bands here with names such as Pre-Shrunk.
Okay.
And do forgive me for saying this, Machine Gun Fellatio.
Nice.
A fictional band called The Duvets.
Okay.
Stella 111. Widow Jones. On Ink. Jackie Oz, Zaki and the Grandmasters. Nocturnal, spelt Nokturnl.
Oh, these sounds like great bands.
Hamish Cowan, Jodie Phillis, I Can't Believe It's Not Rock. Bernie Hayes, Luke Hannigan, The Dumb Earth. Endorphin, Tim Friedman. Sunk Loto. Krista Hughes and Felicity Hunter.
Amazing.
Not ringing any bells?
No.
Although you mentioning that, it's got me major flashbacks to some Australian drama, which was about a load of 20-somethings, I suppose. And that must have started around about 2001, but I can't for the life of me remember what programme I'm trying to think of.
Well, I don't know. But yes, I do know we have
Some
Australian
frantic
listeners.
Googling, see if you can remember.
They might be able to fill us in. Wouldn't it be amazing if one of our listeners was actually in Nocturnal?
Oh, yeah.
Or
Any of those acts, really. They all sound fantastic. I have to hunt myself down the original soundtrack, I think.
Yeah, and get to I Can't Believe It's Not Rock's album.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. Right, round to our picks then. And do you know what? I'm going to go at Steve-O first to give us his film and album choice.
Right, well, I'm
for
going
the
to
year 2001.
I'm going to disappoint you on the album because I searched high and low for something decent from 2001, and there wasn't even any novelty metal that I could like. Morgan's looking at me very disapproving.
I was spoiled for choice.
Yeah,
Well, you can have two picks. 'Cause, yeah, you see, there's normally certain go-to bands of that era. But, even the likes of Megadeth were churning out terrible albums.
It wasn't a great
2000.
time for any kind of traditional metal, was it? I guess new metal was very much in the ascendancy at the
which
time, and it's
just
horrible.
Doesn't
Well, that being the case-
doesn't float my boat.
that being the case, can I
slightest.
recommend something to you
Well,
from
yeah.
2001
But
that you would like?
just like you did with the films, I failed to see those on my research. So you might say something now, and I'll be like, "Oh right, okay."
Well, I think there's an album I think you would like very much that came out in 2001, and it's by a band called The Donners.
the Donna's.
The Donners turned 21.
Well, you see, I've never owned that album, but I'd love the Donners though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was bitching, then it would be my choice.
Turn 21's it's a less out and out metal than bitching. It's a good sort of balance between their sort of a bit of the early punky energy, but with that kind of Motley Crue, Poison kind of.
Well, I'll go for that, even though I've never heard it.
Okay.
It's a corker.
That's good. Well, I think it gets, a 2/3 vote anyway, so...
And then the film, well, it'd be very tempting to go with Wizards, and wouldn't it? But I did go with Donnie Darko, actually. But curiously, very similar to you, I have probably not seen that film for about 18 years, I suspect. But I remember seeing it at the time and thinking it was great.
I think it would probably still stand up. I seem to recall Patrick Swayze being excellent in it.
Yeah, he plays
Yes,
he plays a paedophile, doesn't
Yes,
he?
he's brilliantly creepy.
Yeah, like really like sinister character, and the whole plot's a bit mad, and you don't really know what on earth's going on. And yeah, I remember being having quite an impact, really.
Yeah.
But that said, I can't comment for its standing the test of time
Good
because
word,
I
yeah.
ain't seen it for years. So maybe
But it lives in your mind, doesn't it? I mean,
It does.
even like I say, I've not been sort of drawn to go and seek it out to watch it again. But it's one you will always remember the experience of watching it first time out. A bit like with Mulholland Drive as well.
Well, I
from
remember.
the same year.
I think I went to the cinema with you maybe even more than once to see Mulholland
It's,
Drive,
it's,
and it gets panned by a lot of people who think it's the biggest load of nonsense ever, and yet it's a strange,
compelling bit of cinema, that I think.
So I'm going to go for
Donnie Dark.
for some of those films, yeah.
Some of them.
Well, thank you
But
for
then, yeah, you see wizards and like
Well, we do
the
love-
Shire, and
Well, you and I both love Lord of the Rings.
yeah, shortcut
wholeheartedly.
through onion fields or whatever, short crust to mushrooms.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes.
Farmers,
So that's where I'm
prancing
going. So
ponies.
I failed a bit on the music, I'm afraid.
What a letdown.
But yeah, there we
Oh,
go.
well, moving on then from that display to Morgan's picks.
Oh, okay.
The man who was spoilt for choice, as he says.
Well, he'll say loads of things. Well, he might not.
I was a bit spoilt for choice in both aspects, really. Film-wise, I was sort of hovered a bit round Amelie, and
Yes,
hovered a
yeah.
bit round Ghost World,
Yes.
which I love. But I'm going to have to go for Josie and the Pussycats.
I thought you might.
Which it's just magnificent, absolutely ludicrous, tremendous pop punk soundtrack.
Who wrote the songs for that?
It was a bit of a mixture of people. The directors actually co-wrote all of the stuff. I think Babyface, the R&B producer, pitched in. I think Jane and Charlotte from the Go-Go's might have both had a bit of a hand in it somewhere. Anna Waronker from That Dog.
Now, I'm fairly certain I've seen that film, but remind me of the...
And Letters to Cleo, I think, played all the music.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically it's from the Archie comic. This band of girls in Riverdale who are in this great band, but they're undervalued. No one likes them because everyone's just into the currently popular boy bands du jour, who have great songs which are very, very Backstreet Boys, but with hilarious lyrics. And then du jour mysteriously vanish in a plane crash, and so the mega records are looking for a new signing to take their place. Stumble across Josie and the Pussycats, and then they get sucked into this industry where it turns out mega records are using their music to pump subliminal messages into listeners' ears to make them just buy things. So it's basically a satire of sort of commercialism within the industry, and it does work quite well as a satire, but it's also just really good daft fun and has loads of great tunes and is just silly.
In terms of live action comic book films, it's really, really good.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Is it Alan Cumming as one of the baddies?
Alan Cumming is a massive ham, yeah.
He's always a massive ham.
Obviously,
A massive ham.
Parker Posey as his boss is also a massive
Parker
ham. It's great, yeah. So I've got to pick that.
I thought you might.
And then music-wise, again, I was quite spoilt for choice because you've got, I mean, the first album by The Gossip, arguably Fugazi's best album, the second La Tigra record. There's a lot of good stuff. I am going to have to go for Grave Disorder by The Damned.
Oh, the Damned expert chooses a record by the Damned.
Well, it's the only opportunity I'm going to get to pick a record by The Damned, and it
If only
was...
somebody'd write a book. Tell me in great detail every song on that album.
It was It was their a comeback of sorts after the previous album in 1996 was fairly atrocious, and they've kind of pretty much disowned it. Captain Sensible was back in the fold. It's a real return to kind of like their 80s form, but with a bit more of a kind of contemporary punk feel to it as well. So sort of mixing kind of early 2000s kind of hardcore with the kind of 60s psychedelic pop that they grew up with as well. It's really good. And they actually, at the time, I mean, I guess it was around then I first started to see them live as well, and I was kind of thinking, oh, it's really impressive that like a bunch of old fellas can still do stuff this good. It occurs to me now that I'm probably the same age that they were then. Yeah. But it's comforting to note they've actually even got better since then. Like the next 3 records since then have all each got better every time they release something, so it was a good one.
Yeah, well, there you go. A very subtle plug there for your book, which is still available.
So subtle.
From all from all good retailers.
Yeah. Well, yes, people should buy that if they haven't. If they like The Damned. And even if they don't, they should learn.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, fair enough. That's a good pick. Right, okay, well, my choices are, I mean, yeah, obviously our tastes run very similar for across a lot of these things here, and I was toying with Ghost World, I was toying with Amelie, which is just a great film.
Yeah.
Wet Hot American Summer, that's quite good.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
What's that? I've not heard of that.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's a summer camp comedy, but it's all, well, they're pretty young at the time, but it's comedians playing younger people, essentially, and it's people like Amy Poehler in it and things like that.
Yeah, Elizabeth Bank. Oh, she crops them. Maybe it's only a sequel. She crops them, but yeah, like a lot of those guys, and it's kind of silly, and then ends up getting really quite surreal, doesn't it? It's quite peculiar.
That's good. And like I say, Mulholland Drive was, an interesting thing to experience. But I've got to go for Lord of the Rings because I really, really love it, and I will never watch it when it's on TV because the idea of adverts interrupting me watching it is one of these things that I put on the extended edition. I can put it on a Saturday afternoon, and I can sit there for 4 hours and just totally lose myself in it. It's just an astonishing bit of filmmaking from a source that could be treated very, very badly. It's astonishing. So I've got to go for Lord of the Rings.
I might keep my powder dry until...
I know, but it's tempting,
I know, yeah.
There'll
be something better that year. I'll have missed my chance.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. Wonderful cinema experience, as it is a lasting thing to watch over and over again. For me, personally, anyway. And I will pick as my 2001 album, not Paul McCartney's Driving Rain, which I do quite like. It's not a bad album for that period. Not even the Green Album by Weezer, which is obviously brilliant.
Yeah.
They're really, I don't know, sort of their last gasp of brilliance for me.
Yeah, there were moments after that, but that's the last kind of solid
all
album.
The way through. Yeah. There's things like stuff by Ladytron, who were around and about in Liverpool while we were playing in bands and things. But it's got to be Fugazi's The Argument.
It's a beast of a record. For a band that had been going that long to sort of come out with an album that great.
Yeah. And I made a point of listening to it again today just to remind myself, because I haven't listened to it for ages, and reconfirmed that it is an astonishing album. And one of the reasons I like it, and I said it at the time when I first heard it, is it's like they've been listening to the White Album and the guitar tones on the White Album by the Beatles. And a lot of certain stuff on side 2, it's like they've got those sort of weird, spacey guitar noises that things crop up on the White. Ian Mackay and everyone might just say, no, it's rubbish. We don't listen to that stuff. But to me, it's got a bit of that rock sound in it there, as well as the groovy stuff,
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that there'd probably been... There are elements of Beatlesy guitar things working in even before that. I think End Hits has got some on as well, I think I'd totally hear that.
The sound, particularly on The Argument, has got some very direct 1968 guitar sound styles on it as well.
There's some cracking stuff, and the stuff with the double drum kits is really exciting too,
It's a good record. I like her. You should listen to her. Don't know what that voice was, why I did that. That was very silly. Sorry, everyone. So there we go. I didn't choose Elvira's Haunted Hills, the late sequel to the Elvira movie. Well, it's not a sequel, actually. It's a different Elvira film. I did watch the proper Elvira movie for Halloween. That was my Halloween pick. Yeah, and I certainly didn't choose Rat Race as or Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles as my film pick. But there you go. But what do you listen to and watch in those days? Everyone who's listening, and tell us, because we're interested. Especially if it's beyond the rather narrow borders of the things that us three just all like, that are all the same, like the reason we're friends type thing. Anyway, there you go. We're miles away from Evan Hunter and Ed McBain, but it's nice to reminisce about these things and look at what was going on at the time. So do join us again when we come back for Fat Ollie's book in 2002, a year where, off the top of my head, I can't think of films or music or anything, but I never can until I do the research, because it's so long ago. So until then, I'm going to say au revoir, as is Mr. Stephen Royston.
Goodbye.
And Mr. Morgan Brown.
Fairly well.